they're not letting up, right? And so people are starting to wake up to how corrupted not only our media is because it's completely owned by Big Pharma, but our medical journals and things like that. Also, as John Campbell has talked about this, I was blown away when I saw him talk about it. Well, I just experienced it online yesterday. I was on Twitter, and this guy, his name is Professor Gavin Yammy, and he's a professor of global health and public policy at Duke University. He's a director, Center for Policy Impact and Global Health, and he's a Times columnist. And he says he, him, as he puts his pronouns.
He's a DJ. You skipped over his DJ credential.
Oh, he's a DJ.
Yeah.
Oh, he's also a DJ.
And the tallest Jew on earth. Why are you skipping over his achievements?
So, well, we know he's in the clear on those Jew tunnels then.
And he's got 41,000 followers on Twitter. So he tweeted this out in May 31st of 2022. He was upset at Dr. Jay Bhattacharya. Now, Jay Bhattacharya is one of the authors of the Great Barrington Declaration, which, do I have, okay. So, by the way, when you see somebody with pronouns in their bio, you just know they're going to have great opinions.
You know they're trustworthy.
So he's upset at Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, and Dr. Jay, who's one of the authors of the Great Barrington Declaration, which talked about how to handle the pandemic, which is the way we'd always handle pandemics, is that you target the vulnerable and that you can't vaccinate your way out of a pandemic, just like Dr. Robert Malone said on my show in June of 2021, that you can't do that. And in fact, that's exactly what they tried to do. And of course, it didn't work. Everybody got COVID. The exact opposite of what they said was supposed to be the effect of vaccinating everyone. The exact opposite. Everybody got it. And
lab leak conspiracy theorists and grifters.
So he says,
you didn't think it was a lab leak?
He said people who said that the COVID virus came from a lab, he called them lab leak conspiracy theorists and grifters. So why do I bring this guy up from Duke University? Why do I bring him up? Because I saw him tweet this out. Today, the British Medical Journal launches a forward-looking series on lessons from the U.S. COVID response that should inform the presidential election. This woman and him had the privilege of serving as guest editors. So the British Medical Journal hired this guy who called people grifters and conspiracy theorists for accurately pointing out that the virus came from a lab in Wuhan, China.
No, it didn't. That's racist.
And they put him as an editor on a series that they're publishing called Lessons from the U.S. COVID Response That Should Inform the Presidential Election. I was blown away by that. I'm like, oh my God, Dr. John Campbell has talked about this, how the medical journals are corrupted by Big Pharma money, just like everybody's corrupted by Big Pharma money. And so this is it. This is the British Medical Journal. That's their Twitter handle. It says answering questions and questioning answers. Well, that's not what they do over there. That's not what they do at all.
We believe it came from a Pokemon just the way they told us.
I thought it came from a pangolin.
Yeah, that's a Pokemon.
So I tweeted, I go, the problem with medical journals is that they hire liars and hacks like you who are paid to lie. Remember when you called everyone who said the COVID virus originated in a lab was a conspiracy theorist? So he didn't respond. He blocked me immediately. But guess who did respond? The editor of the British Medical Journal, this guy, Cameron Abbasi. He said so he quotes me, the problem with medical journals, says comedian and conspiracy theorist Jimmy Dore. So they're still doing that, is that we hire liars and hacks and they are paid to lie. There are lots of problems with medical journals, but this isn't one of them. Well, you notice that he didn't deny that what I said, that the guy he just hired to be an editor on this new series about the lessons we're supposed to learn from COVID treatment and how it's supposed to inform the presidential election, he didn't say that I was wrong. He just called me a name. In fact, he used the same smear that the guy I was calling out did. He called people conspiracy theorists, and that's all they have left. And so here's who that guy is. Kamran Abbasi, That's what he looks like.
Where's his pronouns?
Where is his pronouns? He
I
doesn't
don't know
have
if
them.
he's a he.
So I call him a she, or I don't know what to call him because he doesn't put him in his bio.
Undetermined.
Editor-in-chief of the British Medical Journal, the latest. So that's him.
Book Englistan.
So when they say, by the way, when they say here that the British Medical Journal is a patient-centered, evidence-based, and independent, they don't mean independent from big pharma money. By the way, if you gotta say patient-centered, you aren't patient-centered. If you have to say that, and how could you be patient-centered if I'm not supposed to do my own research as a patient, right? Okay, so he calls me. So I call this guy out for calling people who accurately said the virus came from a lab a conspiracy theorist, and his comeback is to call me a conspiracy theorist. But notice he didn't deny what I said because he can't, because I linked to the guy saying it. So
he said that's not one of them. He goes, "There's plenty." He said, "There's plenty of problems."
He said, "There's plenty of problems with the medical journals, but that's not one of them."
Yeah.
And I said, "This guy's the editor of the. Can't make this up. He just hired someone who smeared scientists that said COVID came from a lab as conspiracy theorists to edit a paper on, quote, the lessons from the U.S. COVID response." I pointed that out, and all he has a comeback with is to call me a conspiracy theorist. Notice he didn't deny he hired someone who smeared scientists as conspiracy theorists for saying COVID came from a lab. He just smeared me for accurately pointing that out. These people are corrupt, paid liars who repeatedly lied about everything associated with COVID, and they smear truth tellers as conspiracy theorists because they can't argue the facts because they're paid liars and they're corrupt. And how do I know they're corrupt? This is why people have lost faith in medical institutions. We have already lived through a tsunami of deliberate lies during COVID, where anyone who questioned their lies were immediately smeared and discredited as quacks and conspiracy theorists, and now they're doubling down. And by all the way, all those people that they smeared have been proven right. All of them.
What are the problems?
Here's their sources of revenue, Kurt. Should we show? The sources of income include subscriptions from institutions and individuals, classified advertising for jobs and courses display, advertising for pharmaceutical and non-pharmaceutical products.
No, but they're editorially independent. You know, like how MSNBC is.
Yeah.
Or Fox or
So they take money from pharma. That's exactly what that tells you right there. And they try to hide it. And so that guy's a liar and he's corrupt. And of course I ratioed his ass hard on Twitter because he literally got 3 likes on that tweet that he put out about me. That's the editor of the British Medical Journal. Even the people who follow him, which he has 41,000 followers, wouldn't go along with his smear of me on Twitter.
Well, okay, he said there's many problems. What are they? You know? He said that ain't one, what you said.
That ain't one. No, it's 2 of them. So what are and he doesn't tell you what the problems are if not that. What are they? They don't use a good font? What are the problems?
Aside from corruption, what would possibly be wrong with the medical journals? They can't spell.
Right? What could possibly, aside from corruption, what could
grammar issues mostly.
Yeah.
But not corruption.
So, Ed, are you surprised to see that still happening in 2024? The editor of the British Medical Journal still calling people conspiracy theorists for talking about the lab leak? Is that surprising to you?
Not at all. I saw this on Wall Street. This is ego and psychopathy writ large. So during the Enron scandal, it started to come out that there may have been some hanky-panky in the books. The stock peaked out at around 80, started to crater. And when the stock was down, 60, 70%, the CEO and the CFO were still lying all the way to zero. And I remember smart individuals who defended, I would talk to them and say, why do you still own this thing? This looks like fraud. I'd get out of there. And they said, well, I talked to the CEO. I talked to the CFO.
Oh, my
really?
God.
Yeah. So what people need to understand is when there's fraud, the people who perpetuate the fraud will keep on doubling down until they're in handcuffs. And that's where we are, unfortunately, on a global scale. except it's not money this time. It's our health and well-being of the public citizenry. So this is where we are. The good news is word of mouth seems to be spreading, and that makes me happy.
Hey, come see us do a live stand-up show. We're going to be in Omaha, Des Moines, Milwaukee, Lansing, Michigan, Bend, Oregon, Portland, Oregon, Seattle, Washington, Philadelphia, Avenel, New Jersey, Boston, Palm Springs, and more. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for all those tickets. See you at a live show.